Yo, what's up, everybody? My name is Oliver Hayes alongside Harrison Simeon, and we are back for episode 10 of the Scobo SportsCast. Let's get into it.
Yeah, we had a lot going on this past few weeks. Obviously, I think the biggest story was the women's basketball team going all the way up to number 5 in the country. The men's basketball team also creaking into that top 25 as well at number 25, and they've been playing out of their minds, both teams. But I think we're once again starting with football today. It was a much better performance by the team overall on both sides, but just one of those games you hate to see because you feel like you maybe deserve that win, but you don't end up coming away with it.
Yeah, no, that one was super tough. I mean, with Colorado either leading most of the game, besides a few points where Arizona tied it up.
Yeah.
And then of course, I don't know. It was just so frustrating at the very end because, of course, Arizona finally takes their first lead of the game as time expires, and that's all due to not even necessarily not even really bad play by the players. It was, I don't know. You look at, there's numerous plays you can look at, but of course at the end you think about former Buff Montana, Lamonius Craig, not scoring and not getting in the end zone, and that being the killer, and really losing Colorado that game. I mean, of course, Colorado would have had to gone down and score, but at least that would have given them a chance instead of just allowing Arizona to kneel the ball out and then just hit the chip shot. And so I don't know. Just all around, that was a frustrating game from a fan standpoint, and then just, I don't know. I mean, just objectively, I feel like if you're a football fan and you watch a game like that, I mean, how could you not be frustrated for Colorado? They played a complete game and then still just couldn't get it done for what's this? How many losses in a row?
6 and 7 games, and I think it's 4 in a row since Arizona State. And it really sucks because, I mean, the game itself wasn't necessarily too frustrating. I mean, there were some points, especially on the third and 1 where they chose to pass. I mean, there was some play calling mismanagement, and especially the clock management. I think that's what really got people frustrated with the team. Because,
especially when you have those problems all year.
Right. I mean, the management has been weird. It's been really weird. That there have been times where they should take a timeout immediately, and then maybe you're like, you see the clock start to tick down, and you're like, okay, maybe they're just giving up on this or not. Just going to wait to call the timeout. Or wait and not call a timeout. But then they do, 30 seconds later. Just I don't know. There have been some clock management issues. And what really sucked is the stat that said Arizona led for a total of 0 seconds of this game, and they won on the game-winning kick. And, I mean, you would have hoped to see them come away with the win. But I think there's a lot that we can go over that was really promising. I think Shador, in terms of the scramble game, really got things going. I mean, they went more into the run, especially early on, with Wilkerson making his first start, and he looked all right. I had 7 carries for 21 yards, but, I mean, in all honesty, it felt like they could have stuck with the run a little bit more, because there were times where, I think Coach Prime said it after the game, and his kind of reasoning for it, they didn't run it because they hadn't been able to run it all year. But in this game in particular, they started to get some traction. I mean, they have had, I think, about 50 yards of rushing in the first quarter, which, I mean, if you look at the stats, I mean, you had 90 total for the game. So, you kind of wonder, maybe you should have leaned into it a little bit more. I mean, you had really good games from Weaver. Hunter had a great catch down the field for about 50 yards. And Jimmy Horn had a great touchdown catch. But I think in terms of running the ball, you've got to kind of expand on it. Because, maybe you don't have the most talented backs in the country, but you have ways where you can get them space and get them those crucial yards when, we were ahead. And it always felt like we would score every other drive. And we couldn't really go ahead by that second possession that really put us in control of that game.
Yeah, and another thing is that the offensive line played a lot better in that game, and so I feel like, I don't know, obviously it's hard to say that Colorado needed to do stuff better because this was one of the most complete games, at least all the way through, we've seen from the Colorado offense. I don't know, just with their with the offensive lines and improved play, I don't know, that does seem like another reason for why Colorado should have gone back to the run after seeming to work it in here and there and score in the first half a decent amount and before going away from it. And you briefly brought up that 3rd and 1 play, and that seemed like a play where they should have gone back to the run, and then I don't know, when they end up going deep, then not going for it on 4th. That's a whole nother thing. But
on that play in particular, though, I do say I think it was an RPO. I don't know for 100% if I'm 100% right, but I think there was an RPO, and then if Shedeur handed that ball off to, I think it was Hankerson, he would have got blown up. So I think if they just did a better designed run, just maybe like bringing in heavier personnel, to just all you needed was 1 yard, and then I think they were almost in Arizona territory at that point. And there were a lot of points where the offense felt a little bit passive because, I mean,
100%.
Mark Brissett played awesome at punting the ball, but the decision to punt the ball was just sometimes kind of baffling because we'd be in Arizona territory. I think it was the first drive of the game where we drove down into Arizona territory. It was maybe 4th and 3-ish. It was 4th and manageable. It wasn't like it was a long down in distance. But they decided to punt. So, I mean, it was just a little bit tough. I don't know.
There was a 4th down like that, and then there was a 3rd and 1 play that led to 4th down that they ended up putting on, and I think there was another 4th down near that same spot a little bit earlier that Coach Prime didn't go for, but he went on a 4th and 7 that was a little further into Arizona's territory. So I don't know. That one made a little bit more sense because at that point, it was
kind of in between field goal range and actual punting, but
that
play could have gone bad too. I mean, Shedeur bailed us out with a really nice scramble to convert it.
Yeah, he did multiple times. But I don't know. Yeah, the 4th downs I thought was really kind of odd, and I don't know. I mean, according to Coach Prime, he thought they were great decisions, and if you look at it, I don't know, they were great punts by Brissett. I mean,
the first 2 were great punts, and then they didn't result in any points. But I think that 3rd one off of the 3rd and 1 play, I don't know if it resulted in any points, but it definitely kind of flipped momentum into just kind of stalled out this offense because you thought it was going to maybe turn into a shootout. Yeah, especially early in the second half. Because, I mean, our defense played better for sure, but still gave up a lot of chunk plays, especially in the running game. You saw Coleman break out for, I think, 50-plus on multiple different runs.
Yeah. And there were still a few pass plays, too. I mean, I remember Lamonius Craig got...
Yeah, and McMillan. McMillan went crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, Arizona, played a decent game, too.
But they're a really good team, and I think we played them well.
Yeah, I mean, it was just still tough with those 4th downs because, like you said, I don't know. It almost seemed like I'm trying to figure out what the word is, but not necessarily scared, but almost kind of like a lack of trust. Because like Coach Prime said,
especially in that run game.
Yeah, but like Coach Prime said, those punts turned into something good because Brissett was playing out of his mind, and I don't know. I'd have to look at each and every single 4th down opportunity to see whether or not Colorado got the stop and ended up scoring on the following possession. But either way, you don't know that's going to happen. It's great that you have trust in your defense and in the hope that you're going to be able to flip that into something. I mean, that's the goal. That's why you punted the ball. Coach Prime said that he does that because that's what he does in practice. I feel like at a certain point with a team like this who's finally started to get their feet under them a little bit, I feel like you kind of had to give them a chance. It's also been kind of weird this year because I thought, I don't know, given who Coach Prime is, I don't know, he didn't do it too much at Jackson State, although I didn't watch too much. But I kind of expected more trick plays, more kind of flashiness here and there. And
I expected more aggression, and especially, I noticed it early in the year. I mean, that was maybe more Sean Lewis than Coach Prime. But with the short passing game, instead of letting Shador, who has a really nice arm, letting guys like Travis, like Weaver, Horn, Miller that can get over the top. You saw it a little bit in the Oregon State game with those kind of plays actually just only working because they ended up being underthrown into a PI. But I kind of expected more trickery. Yeah, I expected more offensive aggression in general.
And especially with how they, how they kind of set the tone in the TCU game and how fast-paced their offense is. And I don't know, I think it was a little odd, I feel like, and especially for college football, kind of having that burst a little bit compared to the NFL where you are going to go for it a little bit more. You are going to have some trickery. You're going to just have some weird plays like that. And sure, it is like it makes it hard when the in general to go for those kind of bigger plays when the line is struggling. But, still, it was just, I don't know. It's a little odd, and one thing that I didn't necessarily expect for this year, and then I didn't necessarily expect to show up so much in this game, because it really seems like it kind of like, I don't know, it was show up in weird ways of like being aggressive, because you're aggressive at the end of the first half against Oregon State,
right?
And, that made sense because they had
backfired though.
Yeah, and that made sense. At that point, they needed to get out of that territory because Oregon State did have 3 timeouts, I think it was.
Yeah.
But still, it was okay, you throw the ball twice, have 2 incompletions, and then run. Now they get the ball back. I don't know. It was just weird, and especially because when you look at those, I remember looking back at those plays, and it was Edwards dropped a screen pass that was thrown behind him 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage, where if he would have caught it, he would have either stepped out or got blown up.
For a safety probably too.
Yeah, maybe a safety. I would have had to see, but either way, it was just I don't know. It was weird. It was weird play calling and the aggression and kind of I felt like I couldn't find an identity with this offense throughout the whole year.
It was tough.
And I felt like
you started to see that maybe the identity was that way they play really fast, but then when they made the change to Shermer, there'd be plays where they go under center and they'd huddle, and it would just kind of be disjointed, and there'd never be I would say Shermer called a much better game.
Yeah,
this
definitely.
week, 100%. There were some really nice play designs, especially on the Mikey Harrison touchdown, on the just in general, just better sequencing in terms of run and pass, especially early on. But again, I think going away from that run game was just really tough to see, especially when they had, you had Wilkerson getting traction. You had Hankerson doing well, but then when they would go to the run, or the backfield they would use was in the second half, a lot of Dylan Edwards. And he's not the type of guy that you really want to just put between the tackles and have him pick up, chunk yardage. He's a guy you want to get out in the screen game, out in the swing game, get him in space because he just uses his speed so well, but not a lot else.
Yeah, I just think but ultimately I think it just seems to come back to the line and and kind of just the lack of trust you have in it, and for good reason. It's not like the line has continuously showed up and they've been, I don't know. Shador's continuously gotten hurt and gotten hit, and so it does make sense to be hesitant with this line. It's just frustrating when you have these players at the skill positions that can make these big plays, as we saw in the TCU game and as we've seen throughout the season here and there, just not having the time and necessarily the trust, because I don't know. I think it also, as much as we do want Colorado to go for it and go for these long plays, it ultimately comes back down to the offensive line and what they can do. But I don't know. This game they played better, so maybe coaches need to coach more on a game-to-game basis. I don't know. Maybe that's what they need to do.
Yeah, it's really deflating too, because it's you feel like you did your job well enough to win a game, and you just couldn't.
Yeah.
And when you kind of, early on especially, you feel like you could do no wrong. Then you got smacked in the mouth by Oregon, and then it's been just trying to learn how to win over and over and over.
Yeah.
Finding we were probably a Javon Antonio stutter step away from being in real trouble right now. I tweeted that out a few weeks ago, I think after either Oregon State or UCLA, but it was, yeah, I mean, you've seen how good the Pac-12 is just by the qualities of these teams, like putting up these really great numbers. But you've always seen every week someone cannibalizes another team. Like you saw Arizona State beat UCLA, and now UCLA is likely going to fire Chip Kelly after it seemed like UCLA wasn't really on the come up these past few, this year in general.
And then
Wazoo, I mean, they started out really good. They beat Wisconsin, and they beat Oregon State, who we lost to, but now they're on a 6-game losing streak.
That'll be, and some of these losses are really kind of interesting. Like, they played UCLA close, but lose huge to Arizona. Oregon handles them decently. Arizona State handles them decently. Stanford, they play a 10-7 game, and then California is a shootout, 3-point loss.
That's strange. This Stanford one, especially 10-7.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, just kind of all over the place. We're filming a football preview for the Colorado Wazoo matchup. So
yeah, we won't get too into that.
So yeah, I mean, I feel like this would be a fair point to move on to basketball.
I did want to. I mean, I feel like before we move on to basketball real quick, instead of the preview, we could talk a little bit about like the Coach Prime Texas A&M.
Oh yeah,
because that's obviously been huge with Jimbo Fisher being fired by Texas A&M. Obviously, a lot of rumors start to swirl. Stephen A. Smith says he wants to coach Prime in the SEC. I mean, that was, I guess, the biggest talking head that really went in on that. But it was just like, I don't know. It all this stuff has felt like as soon as that kind of thing happened, Coach Prime would have been the first name on the list because he was so in demand before Colorado, and now that people aren't seeing that he's having some overwhelming success early that they maybe thought he was going to have.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know how much we're really going to spend too much talking about this because
I think it'll blow over in about a week once they find somebody.
Yeah, and it just seems like logistically none of it makes sense. And just logically, you look at the different rules, the transfer rules, and so you'd look at whoever Coach Prime would be leaving at Colorado. I don't know, that would just suck. And
in the press conference yesterday, he was like, his grandma's here, his mom's here, his daughter's here, his sister's here.
Yeah, and obviously contracts
obviously his sons with Shador and Shiloh.
Yeah, and obviously he can leave a job and do what he wants, but he yanked that big contract for a reason. And I don't know. Yeah, like you said, Shador's here. I don't know. As I just said, he has all his other transfers too that then wouldn't be able to transfer because we've seen how double transfers work in the NCAA and how kind of unforgiving they are with that. And so overall that would just kind of be weird, especially because he'd go to Texas A&M, and then I don't know, you kind of have to go through another year that wouldn't look like this one obviously, but kind of just another year of struggling at least, and then trying to figure out trying to build that identity, and I feel like that would just be, I don't know, just overall it wouldn't make sense for him, it wouldn't make sense for his players, it wouldn't make sense for really, I don't know, anybody involved besides Texas A&M.
Yeah, I mean, even for A&M, I mean, they're a school that already gets by on how good their recruiting is, just being in the SEC and being a school with some good history.
Yeah.
But Coach Prime, I mean, he's there to recruit, so it's not like he'd maybe make their recruiting a little bit better, with just the added fact that you're playing for this guy, but. I mean, that's not really their need. They need a guy that knows X's and O's, a guy that has been in a role for a long time and can bring them back to the national title picture. And I think Coach Prime can do that, but they're a team that needs to win right now. And to have Coach Prime probably impact the transfer portal like crazy wouldn't be the biggest thing in terms of A&M being in that type of.
And I also feel
standing.
I don't know. As a player, at a certain point after you see Coach Prime go to Colorado, if you were to join Texas A&M, how likely would you, or how much would you want to go and play for a coach like that? Okay, what are the odds I go and play for Texas A&M now? Okay, a new position opens up a year later, and he goes on and moves on to that.
Right.
Like, just overall, that decision just, I don't know, doesn't seem to work across the board, and obviously, I don't know. I mean, Stephen A. Smith, like, he's gotten to the position that he's in for a reason, but I don't know. I feel like at this point in time, everyone kind of knows.
It was funny. Like, he said that when Nikki asked the question yesterday, opened the press conference with it.
Yeah.
Coach was like, Stephen A. Smith says it is controversial.
Yeah.
And so, I think, I mean, he's a big talking head, but I think it's, it's still, the show he's on is meant to generate those kind of click-drawing stories.
Yeah, it's provocative.
Yeah.
It's supposed to get the people going.
Right.
But yeah, no.
I'm not taking it too seriously at all. And I don't think Coach is either.
Yeah, especially with what he said about it, and you brought that up. So, yeah, I don't know. As far as football, there's not too much. I'm just trying to think. Like, I don't know. I mean, Winston Watkins Jr. decommitted.
I don't think that's a big a deal, because we already have so many new receivers on the way.
Yeah,
we'll still have Jimmy and Travis for a year. I mean, Omarion's still a freshman. Caleb Math is a freshman. Like, I'm not too worried about any decommits at those positions. No, I'm more focused on like the guys we get at O-line, at D-line,
100%.
At tight end, at running back.
I was just
at
thinking
safeties, but no, that is a story we could mention.
I mean, there's not really too much to go on. I'm just trying to think of some more football stuff.
Shedeur won the Buffalo Heart Award. Nice.
But yeah, I mean, really, besides that, I don't think there's too much in the realm of.
I mean, senior day and it being kind of
depressing. There was senior day.
Depressing way to end the home season.
Yeah, that definitely, that was unfortunate, of course, like ending on a loss. But I don't know. I think it also hit home a little bit more today with going to practice and hearing Jordan Dominic talk with him being a senior. And
I think a lot of guys have enjoyed their time here, despite maybe not being in every, winning every game. They've seen themselves grow as players and as people.
Yeah, and I think that was Coach Prime's whole thing at the beginning of the year when he took this position. It wasn't. Of course, I don't know. Coach Prime talked about how they're going to be successful and how Colorado as a football program is coming, but I don't really remember him saying that we're going to be national champs year one.
No,
I remember him saying, "I'm here to teach these young men, to help them grow into respectable, honorable young men who are gonna lead successful careers and successful lives." And so far, it seems like what he's been able to do. Like, sure, there's been some guys who's had some off the field things, as every football team does. But at the end of the day, you continuously get these guys who talk about the togetherness, of the program between the coaches, the players, and how this is really just a family at the end of the day. And
I think it's been good that they've handled some of those issues off the field internally.
Yeah,
just kind of you've seen guys like Cormani. He had some early season struggles. Now all of a sudden is pretty much a mainstay at corner. Yeah. So you've seen these guys grow almost, you don't even have to look too deep to see it. And it's been great. And I think what Coach Prime really said at the beginning was that he's here to bring Colorado back to where they were, when we were really great in like the 90s and stuff. Yeah. So, and when he, put it that way, you don't really expect it in year one. You're kind of thinking, this is a project. This is, he made pretty much all of last year's team leave for the portal and brought in an entirely new slate. Yeah. So you don't expect that to really bring you that far year one. I think this is, like a project. Like, it just builds up year by year and getting deeper and deeper, more tightened up. I think another big issue this year, and especially in that Arizona State game, was penalties. And so, maybe next year you get a couple new coaches, but and some new players that really fill in the gaps. But there's really still no reason not to be optimistic about where the directions this team's heading.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, yeah, everyone knew that this year was going to be like that, or be like this, and then what the future is going to hold, pretty much, I feel like. And if you didn't kind of expect how this turned out, then I don't know. Yeah, no, I don't really know what to say, because I think, of course, yeah, like we've mentioned before, the TCU win kind of set the bar a little too high, with that kind of being the peak of the season. But I mean, yeah, for them to, yeah, just have done what they've done so far, and build a program, and then set up the future, and just based on how I don't know, on how we hear the players talk about the future. Sure, like we've really only heard Xavier Weaver and Jordan Dominic in these practices talk about the future as seniors and graduate students leaving the program, but either way, they just talk about how excited they are, and I mean the coaches too, and just how they're excited for next year. And we heard that today in the practice little press conference. And
yeah, we saw Nick Williams, and he kind of talked about how the defense itself is what a lot of NFL teams run.
Yeah,
and this is a team that's built to make Sunday players, and you see a lot of them already. I mean, I could see Dominic in the NFL. I could see Weaver, obviously Shador, Shiloh, obviously Travis. I mean, Travis is going to be one of the most interesting draft prospects in recent NFL history, with just his ability on both sides of the ball. You could see several different players down the line. You've got Aaron Butler coming next year that could be a complete NFL type talent.
Yeah, and it's it's also interesting, like looking at just how many young guys that Colorado has. I mean, there's just so many guys that we didn't necessarily get to see too much of this year, and then also just some of those names that. Like I don't know, Dylan Edwards. Like, I feel like people kind of forget that he's just a freshman, and that's why that TCU performance was so crazy. And I don't know, you look at Omarion Miller and some other guys like that, and you're just like, yeah, wow. I mean, you look at Cormani and some of the other guys that have stepped up throughout the year and made some plays that are going to be around for the long haul. So yeah, really exciting stuff. Yeah, I feel like that's really it.
I guess so. I mean,
because with the preview coming.
Yeah, we'll get into the more of the specifics of Washington State's team, what we can do to get back on track.
Yeah.
Should we get into basketball now?
Yeah, I'd be down with that. Want to start with the women's, and then
we could. I'll start with the women's, and then you can obviously get into the men's. We've had a pretty busy week for both teams. I think the biggest story of the week was after these games, our team made the biggest jump in the history of the women's college basketball poll. 15 spots from 20 to 5, which, I mean, I honestly didn't expect. I expected to maybe sneak into the top 10, hover around that spot. But 5 was unreal. And I think the biggest part of it was there were some upsets. I mean, teams like Ohio State, Indiana, UConn just got upset as well. I think that was the biggest one of them all. So seeing them go all the way up to 5 and having that big of a shakeup is awesome, and I think it really is a testament to how far J.R. Payne and this team's come. I was at the Oklahoma State game on Sunday. They walloped poor Lemoyne, and I think it was either their first or second game in D1.
Yeah, it was something like that. I remember seeing the TikTok afterwards.
Yeah, it was their first year, at least. And then they said they had to play the team that played.
That just beat LSU.
That just beat LSU, right. And then I guess we'll start with that game because it was the first one. Patrick was there, covered that. We had 56 points in the paint, which is insane. It was pretty balanced scoring-wise. Frida had another great game. She put up 15, 3 for 5 from 3. 4 assists, 3 steals as well. Maddie Nolan, we saw the first taste of what she can impact this team, of how she can impact the team. She had 5 for 7 from 3. That was awesome. You saw some of those front court depth pieces get some scoring action. You saw Charlotte Whitaker get 9, Brianna McLeod get 6. Jalen, 6 points on 3 for 3 shooting. 8 assists, 2 steals. Just pretty nice. Just there's not really a lot to get into for this game just because of how lopsided it was.
Yeah, it really just seemed like he focused on kind of the bench pieces and kind of those role players get into the...
Something I do notice, though, we shot 28 threes. We only shot 19 a game last year. Something I was really focused on this year was to ramp up, even if the efficiency goes down at first, but to ramp up the attempts of threes we take. And I think Maddie Nolan's going to be a huge part of that.
Yeah. And also just looking at Sarah Rose Smith a little bit too. She's definitely not the shooter Nolan is, but
no, I mean she's made some shots. She's made some big shots in big moments, and I think when I get into Oklahoma State, she made a really big one. She's good in the corner. I think that's where we'll see her a lot of, and in the rebounding game as well. She had 10 points against Lemoyne, so that's pretty solid. And then Nettie Vonleh won Pac-12 Player of the Week, which is awesome. I mean she's been super efficient. Picking up she got 11 rebounds against Lemoyne, and then we'll get into her really nice performance against OSU.
Yeah, and on top of winning Player of the Week, Colorado has won, and certain players have gotten different honors. Like Colorado got the ESPN Win of the Week.
Yeah,
with their LSU win. Jalen, she got nominated to the Naismith Top 50 watch list.
Yeah.
And I don't know, obviously top 5 as we mentioned. And then I don't know, I have to look at some of the other stuff. I'm maybe forgetting some here and there, but I mean the cloud is real, the hype is real, and it's deserved.
100%. And I think we'll get into that Oklahoma State game because I was really impressed on how different these 3 wins have been. Because obviously LSU on the road, I wouldn't say hostile environment, but it was a neutral court, kind of out of your element.
Yeah.
And they played great wall to wall, and obviously completely took over in the second half.
Yeah. And also just I don't know, obviously like you said, it was a neutral site, but LSU, with all the expectations with Angel Reese, Haley Van Lith, and all the other high profile players on their squad, no disrespect to Colorado, but I don't know. Everyone knows LSU. Everyone knew LSU going into the game, and that's part of the reason why this upset was so shocking. And so I don't know. I'd have to. I mean, I would have had to have been there to look at the crowd makeup, but I'm assuming there was a
lot of LSU, and not a lot of Colorado.
Yeah, and that's what I'd assume. So
which is even weirder because Vegas ain't that far from here, and from Louisiana it's pretty far. So I think in terms of fan presence, LSU had the most. They had the most expectations. They only improved from winning the national title, and for us to just pretty much dominate them, run away with that game, was something really special. Then obviously we proved we can just destroy a team from the opening tip. I think it was 26-6 at the end of the first quarter. Already a 20-point game after 10 minutes is wild.
Yeah.
And then I think in the Oklahoma State game, I think I was really impressed with how they were able to overcome, because they started out pretty well in the first quarter. I think they were up by 8. And then in the second quarter, things got weird. Oklahoma State could not miss a shot. They could not miss a 3. They shot 15 for 28 on the game. And I think in the second quarter it was it was 5 for 7 and just 9 for 19 from the field. And the offense for us, we only scored 2 field goals.
Yeah.
And we're 0 for 5 from 3. Frida had a pretty rough game, especially early. In the fourth quarter, though, when things got better, you saw her come along, make some big free throws. She finally did make a 3. She only was 1 for 8 for the game. And the fact that we were able to overcome that kind of game from her, you saw people step up. You saw Coy Miller have her best game of the year. She had 13. She had some 10 rebounds, which was 2 of them were huge because they were both putbacks.
Yeah. The one thing that kind of stood out to me about this game, though, was the free throw difference.
Yeah. Our team is are so good at limiting their opportunities at the line and maximizing our own.
Yeah, and especially with Nettie and Quay inside, and then as good of a driver as Jalen is, those three are definitely going to rack up the free throw attempts.
Jalen's going to get to the line every single game, and Nettie's going to get to the line every single game because of how well she plays on the inside.
Yeah. So yeah, no, that was interesting to see, and then only 6 free throws for that Oklahoma State side.
I'm trying to see Lemoyne.
And it's also, and I think that's just another testament to how good this Colorado team can be, because I mean they won by 11 despite shooting so poorly in the second quarter.
Yeah, I mean,
Oklahoma State shooting so well through the whole game.
Right, and we were down by 7, I think, kind of late in the third, like with about 3 minutes left, and then you saw Jalen really push. You saw Quay get those, start to get that production we needed from her towards the end, and then they set up an inbound play for Frida that I think it was her first points of the entire game. Finally getting her on the board, and I think being able to move the ball really well has been huge. I mean, we average about 24 assists a game. Let's see how many we had for this one total. It was 20. We moved the ball really well. We're able to out-rebound them because they had a lot of great shooters. I mean, you saw Staley Hurd. She went crazy. She scored as many points as we did in the second quarter alone.
Yeah, wow.
Liza Garzin, is it Liza? Lior Garzin had a really nice game, but it was Annegret Assi. She was 6 for 10 from 3, had 2 steals, really got out in transition, capitalized off her open opportunities. And you could see that our defense kind of struggle to step up on those shots. We still rotate really well. I mean, in terms of protecting against drives and protecting against the inside, we still played great, but they just couldn't miss from outside.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a struggle, but I'm really happy to see how they were able to find that different type of win. They only shot 6 for 24 from 3.
Yeah.
Which I'm impressed by, that they're able to come back, rally back in that fourth quarter.
The thing that stands out to me is that they played a complete game despite the shooting being weird, because you look at the rebound battle, Colorado won that by 14. You look at the turnover battle, I think they won that by 5. And then even looking at the field goal percentage, Colorado shot a better field goal percentage than Oregon State did. It was just Oklahoma State did. It was just Oklahoma's insane 3-point shooting that night that made this game somewhat close, or not somewhat close. It made it close and put them up, like you said, late in the third quarter.
Right.
Before Colorado came back. We
outplayed them in pretty much every other aspect. We had 20 assists to their 11. We had 15 steals. 15 steals in one game is insane. Sherrod had 5 of them.
Yeah.
Sadler had 3. Foreman had 3. Quay had 2. So it was great to see that all around. But I did want to point out before we move on to a different game, Kendall Wetta is going to be a problem this year. Kendall Wetta had an amazing game in terms of just her impact on the floor. Tamia Sadler struggled. She was minus 13, which was way worse than anybody else in terms of plus minus, just because she was getting kind of picked on defensively. She was able to pick up some steals, but when she was caught out of position a lot, they kind of, would target her and end up having Jalen guard an off-ball player. So that kind of sucked defensively. And same with Frida. They kind of put Frida on the ball handler at times, which I was hoping they would sometimes get those switches, but weren't able to.
Yeah, but I do enjoy it's tough that Tamia Sadler had such a tough game, but it's good to see that JR is not afraid to make the decision or is not afraid to make a decision to not have a starter play the minutes that they're used to.
And Kendall isn't even a 2. She's the backup 1, but they played her and Jalen the entire fourth quarter.
Yeah,
on the court together, and it went great. I mean, I asked her about it after the game, and she just said that they're really good at making the right basketball plays, and they're really experienced, and historically it's had a lot of success. And so it was great to see that. But you only saw 8 players on the floor, which you wonder maybe that'll be a thing for the future. They went small a lot with Quay at the 5, which was interesting. You didn't see Charlotte Whitaker or Brown and McLeod at all, but you'll probably see them against teams where they have to compete more on the boards with, because they out-rebounded them by, I forget.
I think it's 14.
14, yeah. 38 to 24 was great, and then 13 to 5 on the offensive end. And they were able to do that with some of their smaller players, like Sarah Rose Smith. She came to CU a lot to do with her rebounding. She averaged like 7 a game off the bench for Missouri last year, and she had 9 in this one. Just took 3 shots, but she made a big 3, again, from the corner. We were able to capitalize on a lot of turnovers. We had 27 points off of turnovers. We forced 20. So we were able to capitalize on mistakes, and I'm just really happy to see. Like, this is a team that deserves to be in the top 5 because they win in so many different ways. They win ugly. They win clean. They beat the best. They beat the worst. They beat the in-between. I think they're built for it. They're built to live up to the expectations that will come with being top 5.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I think I'm really proud. Nettie had another great game. I didn't even mention her. Obviously winning Pac-12 Player of the Week. She had just 7 shots but scored 18.
Yeah, real efficient.
Yeah, she's been amazingly efficient because she's gotten in such good position in the post and inside that either she scores an easy layup or they have to foul her, and she goes to the line. And she's been really good from the line this year, and the team overall has been really solid from the line, which I think was an area they needed to improve upon from last year.
Yeah, 100%. But
overall, I'm really proud.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff.
Really looking forward. We get a break from that kind of exhausting week, and we play SMU on Saturday on the road. But a game I'm looking forward to that'll be over break that I am really, really interested in is when we play NC State. Now, NC State just beat UConn, so it's the team that beat the number 1 team, the
versus
preseason
the team that
number
beat
1
the number
team,
2.
versus the team that beat the preseason number 2. So, and NC State, I mean, they've only played 2 games, but beating UConn by 11 as well. It wasn't even like they squeaked out some sort of miracle win. They thoroughly beat them. They scored 92.
Yeah, I mean, this will be a fun game.
It will be very fun. It'll be on the road.
High scoring.
It'll be on the road. I forget. Yeah, it's on the 25th, so it'll be over break. Obviously, no scope at SportsCast next week, sadly.
Unfortunately.
But yeah, this game is going to be awesome. It's going to be in the Virgin Islands for the Paradise Jam little tourney. So I mean, it's going to be the biggest non-conference test of the year before they get to the loaded Pac-12.
Yeah,
and
it's funny saying that with them having played LSU to start the year.
Yeah, I mean, it may be the biggest test of the year. I mean, you have SMU, Cincinnati, Kentucky, which are all winnable. I don't think Kentucky is like. Kentucky just lost to Austin Peay. So, I don't know if I take them too seriously. I mean, I know they're great with men's, but
yeah, no.
I mean, they'll still be nice. I mean, they're obviously a good program, but yeah, SMU, Cincinnati, Kentucky. Those will be fun games. Those will be nice games to watch because they're teams we don't play often. Teams we're maybe pretty unfamiliar with, so they could be pretty close. But I think we'll beat SMU. Then it's the Paradise Jam with Cincinnati, Kentucky, NC State, which is what I'm really looking forward to. Then pretty much free wins until conference play starts. No offense to Air Force or UT Arlington, but
yeah,
I mean the schedule definitely softens up before we start conference play against. It's weird that we're number 5 in the country, but we're only 3rd in our conference because of how good UCLA and Utah are.
When just the
and
Pac-12
then Stanford's right behind us.
Yeah, the Pac-12 in general, and then who's at number 10? USC.
USC.
Yeah,
they're really nice. Juju Watkins still continuing to impress.
So
they're going to be a team that's going to be tough to beat. I mean, you have Utah, Stanford, you have Stanford, UCLA, USC back-to-back games.
Yeah.
Once we get into like January and the second semester, that's going to be
some
rough.
of these
and then we get
ranked-
Utah, USC, UCLA down the line in February as well.
Yeah. And then Washington State.
Oh yeah, Washington State, they're frisky. They beat us in the Pac-12 tourney last year. We'll see them at not till the very last game of the season. Oh no, we play them early February.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're gonna
But
be
still-
those are gonna be fun games. Those
Yeah.
are gonna be really, really fun to see how we really stack up, and if we can continue this dream start to the season.
Yeah, and even some of those even some of the non-ranked Pac-12 opponents, like, they're nothing to cough at.
No.
Colorado lost some games last year
Yeah.
that they shouldn't have lost, and I don't know.
I forget who we lost to that weren't in the top tier last year. Because I mean, it's pretty much the same team, so same sort of matchups you can exploit.
I want to say it was...
So last year, I don't want to disrespect Air Force. We only beat them by 8. We also lost to Texas Tech last year, so non-conference opponent. But we lost to, in terms of the top tier of
They
the
had a
conference.
forfeit last year against Arizona State.
Yeah, I forget what happened with that.
But
we lost,
Yeah,
I think the one win, or the one loss, I mean, we were great. But the one loss that maybe you wouldn't see this year because they were better last year than they were this year, but Arizona, we got smoked on the road by Arizona. That was a killer.
And that Washington State in the last
That was the
season of the year.
Well, that was the Pac-12 tourney.
Oh, that was. My bad.
Yeah.
But either way, I don't know.
All those
Still
losses,
some
though. All those losses, though. Utah, like, we're talking about 2 against Stanford, 1 in double OT. Arizona was, 1. But USC, I think, is going to be important to get that win.
Yeah.
Because we only played them once last year, and we got beat pretty bad.
Yeah. But I don't know. It'll be interesting. Obviously, with a long basketball season, going undefeated would be absolutely wild.
Yeah.
That'd be absolutely wild.
If we go undefeated,
I
may just, like, I don't know. I may just stop writing about them just because of how good they are. It may get to that point, but no, they're going to be awesome. I think they in terms of overall success, they'll be the best team on campus this year.
So I guess
you never know about this men's team. They look awesome, and we can get into that if you want.
Yeah. No, I love to to dive into their
my
games.
Ramble. Now you can have yours.
No, I'd love to get onto my rambling because, as our viewers know, I love to do that. So yeah, I don't know. We talked about Towson last week, but that second half that they had against Towson, sure, they started that with 8 straight 3-point makes, but they've cooled off the tiniest bit from 3. They cooled off the tiniest bit from 3, but besides that, they've pretty much just played the exact same way that they played in that second half against Towson, and it's translated against the Grambling State Tigers last Friday, and then the Milwaukee Panthers last night on Tuesday. So I guess, like, starting with Grambling, or I don't know. I'll talk about the team as a whole. But the biggest thing that stands out with this team, I'd say, is just their team, their team play, their chemistry, their energy, their effort. Like, this is, I feel like if you're a young kid and you want to know how to play the game of basketball, this is a team to watch. If you're a coach and you want your team to play basketball the right way, to do all the things that are almost uncoachable in a way, this is a team you'd want to show your guys, because this team, they get their work in on the defensive end of the floor. They hustle, they communicate, they get on the floor. A lot of people have focused on their on-ball defense, but it's really been their off-ball defense that has blown up a lot of the off-ball action that gets teams open and gets them in their offense. And Colorado's interior defense has been amazing. And on top of that, they've ran teams off the 3-point line, and so they're limiting every aspect of our opposing offensive game, and it's huge because it's translating to the offensive side. And the only thing that sometimes hurts them is when the ball stops. It the offense might become stagnant here and there. But we only saw that in the Towson game in that first half, and since then they've moved the ball insanely well. They had 20 assists. They had over 20 assists last night. They had 28 assists, I want to say, against Grambling State.
They had 25 last night.
25 last night. I want to say 28 against Grambling State. So this team moves the ball well, and on top of that, they're knocking down the three ball.
Over 65% last night's insane.
Yeah, no, absolutely wow. Across the board, they've been one of the best teams in college basketball statistically, and it's really great to see the 3-point shooting coming along, because sure, you can look at the guys. I don't know, like you can look at R.J. Smith, who's a redshirt freshman. He went 3 for 4 last night. You can look at KJ Simpson, who has improved his jump shot. You can look at Tristan Silva, who's continuing his hot 3-point shooting. Same thing with Julian Hammond. But these shots aren't coming off the dribble. These aren't contested. These aren't really too hard of threes. These are threes that are coming late in the possession, late in the shot clock, after moving the ball around, getting multiple touches by multiple guys, and they're just creating open looks. And so, basketball, it's a sport where it's good to have individuals that can get you baskets, that can go and make plays at any given moment. And I believe Carter has this with Tristan Silva and KJ Simpson, and with Cody Williams, huge game last night, maybe even him, and maybe a few other guys. But
I love seeing Cody pop off.
Yeah, no, that was fun. I can't wait to get into that. But the last thing I just wanted to say was just that as a team, as a collective, their defense is amazing. But on offense, they're just the same, and it's like to see. You see the bench so excited, more excited than I saw them ever be last year. You're having more guys on the floor than you've seen last year. It's really something special, and for this talented of a team to be this connected this early in the season is really special, and they've continued to do so. So yeah, I don't know. That's kind of my big spiel about the past 2 games, but I'd love to go deeper into.
I obviously haven't been able to be at these games, but I've obviously just been impressed seeing what everyone's talking about with them, and looking at the box score and hearing about what happened. It seemed like the playmaking was really good, and that guys like R.J. Smith finally broke into that, kind of what you want to see him do in that rotation. You saw Eddie Lampkin get his first double-double as a Buff it was a second start, right? Yeah, second start.
And that's one thing to note. They've had Colorado's thrown out 3 starting lineups this year. This one against Milwaukee last night, being the one that people envision for this season. But that first night you start KJ, Cody, Tristan, Luke, and Hadley. So you have kind of that smaller lineup with Eddie coming back from the back procedure he had over the offseason. And then against Grambling, Cody actually didn't play. He had a nagging injury, according to Tad, and didn't practice that day. And as Cody said yesterday, when I asked him about it, he told me that him and the team doctors wanted him to be 100% before he went out there. And at this point in the season, that's what you want to do. You want to make sure he's healthy and all those things. So he didn't play against Grambling State. So then that's when Eddie got his first start. And then now that you have Cody coming back, you have Cody come back against Milwaukee, and having Eddie play decently against Grambling State. He grabbed a game-high 8 rebounds. He tied Javon Hadley with that.
Nice.
But with Eddie kind of getting his feet under him and getting to the starting lineup, you have that starting lineup that you'll see for probably the rest of the year, as long as no injuries happen.
You got to hope that they can stay consistent with this, because Cody maybe Cody, but what I was trying to talk about was KJ and Tristan. They're going to be consistent.
Yeah, for sure.
If KJ can continue this level of 3-point shooting, he's going to be consistent with his scoring numbers all year.
Yeah.
They're going to be really consistent. If Eddie can be a double-double machine, if they can continue their 3-point shot making late into the shot clock, which is huge because, you set up a play, and maybe if that doesn't work, if you can have guys that can, swing the ball around, that can find that open shooter, and a guy that can execute it, you're going to be in great standing against any team.
Yeah.
Not just these, little non-conference opponents that, maybe didn't pose too much upset risk. If you can have Julian Hammond be consistent point guard that can give you 10 and 5 assists and some steals and, great ball movement off the bench, then you're in great shape. If you can have Hadley contribute what he's contributing, even if it doesn't show up on the box score, same with Cody, same with Luke, same with guys like Diop. You're gonna have a consistent team. I mean, there's no way. I mean, like last year you saw, Cody KJ and Tristan were consistent, but the team itself wasn't very consistent.
Yeah, and even then, KJ
went on.
Or sorry,
no, in terms of I just meant in terms of winning, just like they would win and then they would just kind of lose a game you don't feel like they should have lost.
Yeah, and even then, I don't know, I was just about to say that, KJ dealt with that illness later in the year, and so when you don't have that to end your season, I mean, that's huge. And I mean, that just makes it tough, especially because Tristan, he's definitely the best player, but he's a leader, but KJ is a lot more vocal. He's gonna scream. He's gonna flex. He's gonna get in your face a lot more. And Tristan's gonna do that too. But it's in a lot more a little quiet, more composed type of fashion. And so to not have KJ for the end of last season was tough. And so as long as guys are healthy, and this will be a fun team because like I said, it's their team play that is making them so special. But you look at all the individual things that they do together. I mean, just going down the list. I'll just go through the roster real quick. Yeah. I mean, Cody Williams last night. He's a guy who he's not really looking to score. He's not looking to necessarily get his per se, and you might be a little worried by that with how talented he is, but. Last night, he had 17 points, 13 of those coming in the first half. You saw that huge dunk he had. He also
had efficient too.
Yeah, he was 6 of 9, 4 of 4 from the free throw line, 1 of 1 from deep. That's huge as far as the shooting goes, because obviously we're not going to see that the whole year. But if he can continue some games like this would be helpful. That would be huge. You look at his rebounding, his passing. And, he came together, and that was because Tad told him, hey, you kind of have a mismatch going into this game. Let's make some plays, and that's what he did. And that's what Cody can do. And, of course, he's a great defender. Tristan, I don't even really need to talk about him. That dude's a 3-level scorer. He can move. He can do whatever. He can play defense. He's great. Eddie, he had his best game yesterday. He looked like he was moving the best that he had moved all season.
That's great.
He had seemed the most comfortable within the system, working out of the high post, working out of the low post, using his body. He found himself on the floor a lot. He was a lot more comfortable on the floor as far as finding the spacing and finding where to be. There were a few times where he used his body to seal off a guy that led to some layups for Colorado. I mean, this is a team thing, but I mean, starting with Eddie Lampkin in the post, he draws a ton of attention. And then you have Tristan Selva who can post up. You have Javon Hadley who can post up despite being 6'6". Even Cody Williams might post up here and there. We'll have to see how Hassan Jazop, if he'll ever, how much he really plays this year, but how much Colorado can work it out post. I mean, there's just so much about this team that makes them so special. Because Javon Hadley is not going to show up in the stat sheet necessarily, but he's going to grab you the most rebounds on the team, and he's going to get on the floor. KJ Simpson. He's averaging, I think, 19 points per game through 3 games. But
I was going to get into KJ a little bit more. 23 on 9 shots in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
If you're not buying stock in KJ Simpson, if you're just a college basketball fan, and you're not noticing what this guy is doing, something's wrong with you. He's been unreal. 19 points a game on 65% shooting as a point guard.
Yeah. And I want to say the most impressive thing to me is his
50% from 3 too.
Yeah. But the most impressive thing to me with KJ so far is only 2 turnovers through 3 games.
That's really good.
He had 0 against Towson, only had 1 each.
And he's getting to the line, you think, too.
Yeah, no, he's gotten to the line 12 times this year. He's gotten a few and ones. But yeah, no, I mean, KJ is playing like the perfect point guard. Like I said earlier, he's the leader who's going to hype your guys up. But with how efficient he's been to start the season, how much he's taking care of the ball, wow, he's also dished out some assists. He had his career high 8 assists against Grambling State. Like, KJ is having as great a start you could have as a point guard. He's been exactly what Tad and Colorado want him to be. And you can also see that with the maturity in his answers at the podium, because he talks about what he's done over the offseason. He talks about what he needs to do for this team. He talks about what the team needs to do as a collective to be able to win games. And at the end of the day, that really seems to be each individual's only focus is winning games for this team. And you know, it'd be great to see some of these guys in the NBA. You know, Tristan, he's probably going to be an NBA guy. At the end of this year, he's at least going to be considered, assuming he has a successful senior campaign. Of course, Cody Williams. And if KJ Simpson keeps playing like this, and, you know, maybe even Eddie Lampkin Jr., you know, Javon Hadley isn't necessarily on draft boards, but, I mean, he played AAU ball with Chet and Jalen Suggs in Minnesota. So, I don't know, he's been around NBA guys, and with how well Hadley's been playing this year, I mean, he might sneak on as
you could see
as an energy guy who can.
And that would make the entire starting lineup.
Yeah, and if you have a whole entire lineup that you can consider as potential NBA guys, with at least 2 being pretty much locks, that's something special. And people are starting to recognize this with the margin of victory that Colorado has displayed through 3 games this year, and especially with the emergence of Cody Williams last night, with kind of his I'm here type of game so far, and yeah, I mean, just overall, just really fantastic, and I just love the team play. I love seeing all the different action on the offensive end, because as much as the assists have opened up the 3 ball, you also have guys cutting off of guys in the post, you have guys cutting backdoor, you have off-ball screens that are leading to open shots and open cuts and backdoor cuts and just things like that, and they know that is what is going to help them win and what makes them successful, because they keep harping on it in the press game conferences. So
yeah, I think the important thing for Cody is, I mean, a lot of people question why he was the number 1 recruit in the country going into this year, and maybe it kind of just popped up out of nowhere as the number 1 recruit. And some people were like, "Oh, is he number 1? Like, he's good, but is he number 1?" That kind of performance can prove how you can be number 1.
Yeah,
being that efficient, that effective, getting to the rim that easy, making a 3. Maybe got to take some more to see if you can make some more.
Yeah.
Obviously playing, he'll be awesome on the defensive end. You struggle to find holes in his game at that point.
Yeah, no, you do. It's really only his jump shot at this point that you're kind of worried about. Maybe that kind of willingness to score, but you can. I don't know. I feel like, me personally as a coach, I'd rather teach a guy to score than teach a guy to pass. At least as far as their tendencies and what they want to do. I feel like that's much better because yeah, I don't know. When you have a guy that thinks about the team, that's huge. But going more into Tad Boyle, like, I don't know. There's not much that's changed from his first year with the program. He's still good old same old Tad Boyle.
Oh, he's so Tad. When I saw that he threw his clipboard down last night, when y'all are up by we're up by 33.
Yeah, now that's what I was gonna bring up. But up 33, up 33 with 5 minutes left.
Possible.
Yeah. So the play before, a second chance, Milwaukee had a second chance 3-pointer, and Zach Howe hit 5 threes in the second half last night to become Milwaukee's leading scorer, and so he was kind of in the middle of his low run, and yeah, there was that second chance 3-pointer that wasn't even him that made it. It was another Milwaukee player, and quick timeout. This was pretty quickly after the starters had left the game for the rest of the match because Colorado was up 33, like I'd said, and yeah, calls that timeout, and Tad is livid. He is out near the free throw line, near the 3-point line, screaming at the guys. Huddle comes in, and you just hear a clipboard smash against the ground, and all you see is a little brown marker rolling towards the sideline away. And yeah, no, it was, it's funny from a fan's perspective. Some people might be like, "Oh my God, that's too harsh. Why are you doing all that?" But I love it that
I love it too.
That for a team of this caliber, who is winning in such dominant fashion, and not let their foot off the gas, not because they were, not because they wanted to embarrass Milwaukee, but just because they knew that they could be better, and who wants to see better, especially from those guys that were on the floor at that time, is just really promising for this group in knowing that they want to win, and that everyone is seemingly buying in.
Right, like they seem like they hold themselves. I think both teams, like both men's and women's, they talk about how high of a standard they hold themselves to, and what their expectations are for this season are probably greater than we could even imagine. So, their expectation is to win every game, win a national title. I think that's what's been great about about the coaches we have, and the culture we've built with both of these teams, is that they expect to win every single game, no matter what, and they expect to play, tip off to final buzzer at 100% effort.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because it's not just a program thing where these programs are doing it individually. Obviously they are, but they recognize the success across programs, especially between like the men's and women's teams both playing the same sport. But KJ, like, he's made sure he's shout out the women's team every time. Tad Boyle's touched on the women's team, and Tad Boyle also touched on just the overall success. And we're about to head into soccer, but he mentioned Danny Sanchez yesterday, even though the soccer team lost.
We'll get into that.
But
so unlucky.
Yeah, but just knowing that these coaches have respect for each other as a program and want to do good for the community and the school, and just their individual program, but also, every program around them. I mean, you see at the soccer games, basketball players are there. You see at the men's games, soccer players are there. The women's team is there, and vice versa. And it's just, it's fantastic. The state of Colorado sports, as we've mentioned time and time again on this podcast, is that this state of CU sports is amazing. It's It's
on the come up. I think it's just
for sure.
It's all headed in the right direction, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it here. We're one of just 8 teams to have a team, men's and women's basketball in the top 25. And they're not just sneak in top 25 teams. I would imagine we go up from 25 next week.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Into around the top 20 or so. And then obviously women's is at 5, and I could see that getting even higher, honestly. Like, you beat NC State, and then you're chilling. I mean, then you could go toe-to-toe with Utah. You could go toe-to-toe with UCLA. You could creep up a spot. So I think I'm just really, I don't know, we say it every week, but we're super excited for these basketball teams, especially to see what they can really accomplish.
Yeah, no, I'd be really interested to look at some of the other universities and schools around the nation and see if they're enjoying the luxury that we're getting to enjoy at CU right now, and what we'll get to enjoy for years to come. So yeah, but as much as we talked about the good, you always got to talk about the bad.
Oh man, you got to talk about the good, bad, and the ugly. And this was certainly, it wasn't ugly.
But unlucky.
It was the unlucky. As we had I think this is the first sport that's come to an end so far this year. With soccer in the first round of the NCAA tournament, getting eliminated 1-0. As it was such a weird goal. Oh my God. I keep looking at the replay. I looked at the replay over and over writing this article about it. and I was so dumbfounded in how the ball managed to go in because Faith Leba slid trying to clear it away, and it just went off the girl's shin for A&M, just kind of ballooned over everybody and just under the crossbar, like so perfectly. And that was it. That was the only goal of the entire game.
Yeah.
Overall, we played pretty solid. We just couldn't get that goal to tie it. I mean, you had chances in both halves, but it sucks. But I think overall this was a great year for the soccer team. Even, you look at how unlucky it was. But you have a lot of girls that are going to be coming back next year. Ava Priest made all Pac-12 freshmen. Faith Leba made all Pac-12 freshmen. We got Hope Leba, her sister. Jordan Knights was an amazing keeper this year. No more Shira James, but you're gonna get the goals somewhere.
Yeah,
you can see them being pretty active in the portal, trying to find a new striker.
Yeah, it'll be sad to see Shira go, but from what we saw at least to end this year, with those 3 big regular season wins at the end to solidify an NCAA tournament berth was huge, and it was really unfortunate. I didn't get to watch the whole game.
I didn't watch it at all.
But it seemed like Colorado played a complete game.
Oh yeah, they played pretty
in
complete
it the whole time, and I'm not sure if they necessarily deserved it more than Texas A&M did.
I think it at least deserved to go to extra time.
Yeah, I'm not sure if A&M deserved that. Sure, it pays off to put pressure on the ball, but sometimes it I don't know. You could play a million soccer games, and how many times that goal gets scored?
Probably one.
Yeah, if you saw the goal, you just know how much that kind of hurt. It did hurt.
It really hurt. Like the way and not even just that was the goal itself. That was the goal that eliminated our season, was the difference.
Yeah.
Like if they won 3-1, and that was the goal that put them up 3-1, or they won 2-0, got another one after it. Then it doesn't hurt as much. But that was the only thing that was the difference between our season continuing and ending, sadly.
Yeah. But I don't know. As we all know, that's kind of just how. That's how soccer goes, but that's how every sport goes. Every game you play, something different is going to happen. I don't know. That's what everyone knows going into it. And at the end of the day, you kind of just got to accept that when something happens like this, and you're on the opposite end of it. But either way, it was a great season.
It was a great season. I don't want to end on a negative note like this.
No, I'm fine. To move on to something more positive.
What could we move on to? Volleyball. I don't know. Volleyball's been all right still.
Yeah.
Kind of up and down.
Yeah, volleyball.
They finish off this is the last home games of the season this weekend.
Yeah, so that would be cool.
They get some nice turnout.
Yeah. If you haven't already, go to Scuba Sports YouTube and check out Tally Schreiber.
Oh yeah.
He did a news package
with package with Sky Howard.
Yeah, with Sky Howard. So
that was our new website with all the news and updates on things currently going on. We'll probably link that in the description as well.
Yeah, that's going to continue to be in the description for you guys to go check it out, because we have recaps coming out about every single CU game.
It's funny. It feels like we're the only people writing about stuff on the website right now, but it's been a lot. I mean, there's been a lot to get to. We're going to have, probably some more different writers doing little pieces here and there. Obviously, football winding down, so we'll have some end-of-season work coming on the way. Women's basketball obviously going crazy right now. Volleyball winding down. Soccer's over, but we still a lot happening.
Yeah, a lot going on, and good stuff. I love being as busy as we are, and even over Thanksgiving we're gonna be busy. I'm not necessarily gonna be at any games until the Sunday right before we we as students return. That's when Colorado plays the men's team at least plays their first home game, or their next home game, I guess. Because they'll be in Florida, I believe, for the Sunshine Slam.
Yes.
So they play Richmond on Monday.
Is it just that one game? Because I think they come back home for Iona.
Yeah. That's the game on the Sunday.
Iona will be low-key tough. Iona was in the tourney.
Yeah, Iona, they're always interesting.
Different style of basketball too.
And after Iona, looking a little bit ahead, we're gonna try and get to that Colorado State game in Fort Collins, as Colorado State has.
It's been too long since the Rocky Mountain Showdown.
Yeah, and at least
that'll be fun.
At least a good one.
This is a good Colorado State team.
Yeah.
Nick Clifford leading him in the rebounds. Look at that.
Yeah, Lena. Yeah. No, Nick he's been interesting. I haven't looked too much. I haven't watched the full game through, but yeah, 9 rebounds a game is something interesting.
And 15 points too. He's been good.
Yeah,
he's been really good.
Yeah, no, he's definitely getting a lot more opportunity with that Colorado State team. It's just interesting. I don't know. It's interesting seeing the rebounds jump in comparison to last year. You know, Tad challenged Neek to get some boards, and he did. He grabbed 11. And in a game late in the season, it seemed like he was going to do that better, and then jump ship. But
yeah,
of course, we always wish the best for our former Buffs, and yeah, no, it's great to see Neek playing well, even if it is at CSU. Just I don't know, as the Buffs hope for. Hopefully, he's not continuing his great play come November 29th.
And you know, I just realized we didn't even mention a single thing about Utah, but that game will happen before our next pod. So our next pod is going to be a season in review, basically, for the football team, unless they make a bowl, unless they win these last two.
Unless they make a bowl. So
if that happens, crazy. I know. I just realized that because it's not next week, we're not going to have any time to really preview Utah, and I'm really looking forward to both of these games. Next time we'll see y'all, the season may be very well over.
Yeah.
For football. But no matter how those games end up, I think it's been a pretty successful season. You know, quadrupling the wins from last year. Obviously having so much more talent. Just got to be, just do those little things. Managing the clock, putting things together. With football, that'll be great. We'll have so much more time to talk about basketball this year. I think those will be probably the main focuses on most of these podcasts as we get into the second semester. Unless, obviously there's some, big story with football, with the portal. There'll be some probably transfers coming our way sooner than later. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, some good stuff. One thing that did catch my eye, though, this is just so out of the blue, but I don't know. I kind of recognized this over the summer because I was seeing all the transfer stuff on Instagram. But I've played with or against 4 players on this Colorado State roster.
Really?
Yeah.
Who besides Neek? Because you told me about that.
So Neek, he went to – I played at Palmer Ridge in Monument, Colorado. Neek went to Vanguard in Colorado Springs. Joel Scott, he went to Lewis Palmer, which is the other high school in our district. I didn't actually play against him in an actual game, only pick up stuff because he was a senior when I was a freshman. But Javante Johnson, he went to Shine Mountain in the Springs. He hasn't played too much for CSU. He was at New Mexico State the past few years, but I definitely got out of the way of a few of his dunk attempts as a sophomore. And then my friend Cameron Lowe, he hasn't played yet in a game. He just transferred from Air Force as a freshman. But yeah, I played AAU with him. And yeah, he went to Lewis Palmer and stuff. Nice. So yeah, no, to see the Colorado Springs boys, even if it's in the wrong colors, seeing them put on will be interesting.
That is cool.
But yeah, no, the focus on CU on the come up.
Oh yeah, and something I noticed may bump our ranking up even more with the women's team. Utah lost last night, or
wow.
I don't know when it was exactly, but It was yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, last night. They lost to Baylor. So Baylor's a good team, 21 in the country, but Utah, who's ahead of us at 4, just lost. So
yeah, Wynn's team can make. Wow.
I know.
That's interesting.
This is gonna be nice. This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be really fun. There's gonna be a lot to talk about with these podcasts, even without football.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I don't know. We started with football in every podcast, but I don't know. We seem to be talking about less and less, and everything else more and more. So
hopefully they end the season well, though. I think.
Hopefully, I'm trying to have more football to talk about.
Yeah, if we can come back and we're in a bowl, that would be
a Christmas miracle.
Oh yeah,
because we'll be ready for Christmas by then. Or I mean, just a holiday miracle. Because I know not everyone will be celebrating Christmas, but
yeah. Well, happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to those
from Scopa Sports and the pod.
Yeah,
since we won't see y'all.
Yeah, and we like to be festive around here. If you didn't see our Halloween live show,
that was awesome.
with Jake Shapiro over here, so.
Oh yeah.
But no, I think that's everything. So
just about.
So yeah,
that was a great pod.
It was really great pod.
Got a lot done.
For sure. So I'm Oliver Hayes.
I'm Harrison Simeon.
And as always, you heard it here first. Peace.